Hey there. Brick could fall on your head or you could accidentally choke on a bone. Nevertheless, there are places in the world where you have to be extremely careful. Many people have lost their lives or paid the price of their health for underestimating the seriousness of the situation. Let's take a look at these places, but remember, visiting each of them can cost you your life. The Royal Bath is one of them. The Hawaiian Islands can easily be considered a true paradise on Earth. It has stunning sandy beaches, gentle ocean waters, and incredible views. Everything you need for a great vacation. Kauai is one of the islands nicknamed Death Island because of its dense rainforest. Here there are places that are not only pleasing to the eye, harmless beauty of nature. In some areas of this island you can easily lose your life. But be careful, natural pools are especially dangerous. Take a look at one of them, the Royal Bath. It was formed in the rocks on the shore many years ago and is filled with crystal clear water. There are tropical fish swimming here, so you can feel like you're in a royal bath. However, don't relax, a place like this can be life-threatening. All this beauty deprives many people of a sense of self-preservation, and in vain. The danger lies in the unexpectedly large waves. Many unfortunate victims of nature's vagaries have been washed into the ocean on their way to the royal bath. You can even see a stone slab that warns of this, but more and more people still become victims of the elements. Saltstraumen. A small strait called Saltstraumen is a danger to life. This place, with one of the strongest tidal currents in the world, is located in the municipality of Bodø in Nordland County, Norway. Up to 400 million cubic meters of seawater pass through the strait, 3 kilometers long and 150 meters wide every 6 hours. And if the numbers scare you a little, just take our word for it, it's a lot. But the speed of the current is not the only danger of Saltstraumen. Here form powerful whirlpools with a diameter up to 10 meters and a depth of 5 meters. Sometimes there are periods when the strait becomes navigable, but this happens only at low tide. Few people would risk sailing in a place where the water rushes at such a speed, and also swirls into a powerful whirlpool. Nevertheless, Saltstraumen is a very suitable place for fishing. It is home to species such as halibut, cod and pollock, but these photos of bearded fish illustrate that they can drag anyone to the bottom, and hardly a single person is strong enough to resist the forces of nature. The scientist claims that the approximate age of the Saltstraumen is between 2,000 and 3,000 years old. Most likely, the strait is the result of changes in the surface of our planet after the Ice Age. The El Nico Garden. Some plants can save from death and some can kill. More often than not, the sources of danger grow far apart, but there is a place in the world where you can encounter all of these plants at once. There is a whole complex of gardens at English Castle, and one of them is surrounded by a special fence with warning signs. This is a poison garden, which contains more than 100 species of dangerous plants. Therefore, to be in the poison garden without a guide is really dangerous to life. It is itself an unusual garden, was laid out in 1750, destroyed during World War II and rebuilt again in 1997. Back then there were no poisonous plants, which appeared in 2005. The main purpose of the garden is to introduce people to poisonous plants, to show what they look like and what can happen while interacting with them, and to teach people to stay away from them. Of course, there are absolutely different plants growing in this garden, both deadly and harmless. For example, you can find a tunnel of poison ivy, head of pincushion, vomit nut and brugmansia, as well as many forbidden plants and mushrooms there. Meklong Market. A place where you have to be careful, and as careful as possible, is the railroad tracks. A train rushing at great speed simply cannot brake quickly, even if the driver tries very hard. This is why, wherever there is a railroad track, people try not to get too close to it. But not at Meklong Market. On its own, this Thai railroad is no different from millions of others scattered all over the world, except for one detail. It runs right through the Meklong Market. One of the biggest seafood markets in Thailand, according to the locals. It is unremarkable except for the variety of fresh and cheap products. Vendors with their wares and stalls sit right on the railroad tracks, and when a train approaches, they simply move the tabor aside and wait for the train to pass. The train appears here only 4 times a day, strictly on schedule. But this place still poses a threat, at least to tourists, who sometimes climb right under the wheels to take more selfies. But since the market is located on the rails just a few tens of meters from the end station of the railway line, the train goes very slowly. By the way, you're probably wondering how it happened that the market's tracks ended up in the same place. The Meklong Market has existed for more than a century at this location. It was there even before the railroad tracks ran here in 1905. Usually in such cases the trade stops, but not only did the market not cease to exist, but it has become a local landmark. The Andes Road is the longest mountain range in the world. It is incredibly beautiful and you can meet unique animals. But at the same time, this place poses a serious danger to humans, especially if you decide to take a bus ride. Every day its driver puts himself in mortal danger by getting behind the wheel. He drives his passengers along a narrow road, at any second risking a plunge into an abyss. It's a job that requires the utmost concentration, but even to be in the passenger's seat on this bus is life-threatening. Nevertheless, locals don't seem to see it as a big deal. Fraser Island. This Australian island is considered the largest sand island in the world. Its area is 1,840 square kilometers. However, that is not the reason we are interested in it. It is on Fraser that you can still find dingoes, which are almost never crossed with ordinary dogs. It is a unique animal to study, but at the same time, it poses a serious danger to humans.
You'll be right.
Until 1995, there were no official reports of dingoes attacking humans on Fraser Island. However, in April 2001, a boy named Clinton Gage walked away from his family and became a victim of these wild dogs. After this tragedy, the island imposed fines for feeding dingoes or leaving food and trash that might attract them. In 2008, fences were built around the 9 island settlements, but even all of this does not guarantee safety. University of Queensland researcher Nick Baker says that dingoes on Fraser Island behave unusually. Instead of hunting in small packs, these animals have learned to live together and therefore pose an even greater danger to humans. Occasionally there are reports of dingoes attacking and biting tourists. Incidents can also be more serious. Once a dingo kidnapped a 1-year-old child and tried to take him away. Fortunately, the family was sleeping in the mobile home, and they managed to save the child when they heard his cries. Death Valley on the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia, where the active stratovolcano Kikpinich is located. Death Valley is located at its base, at the top of the Geysernaya River, and is one of the most dangerous places on Earth. Officially, Death Valley was discovered in 1975 by forester Kalev and volcanologist Leonid. The site is 2 kilometers long and several hundred meters wide and kills any animal or bird that enters its territory. The cause of death is always the same: suffocation from gases escaping from the ground, most of which is carbon dioxide and also a lot of hydrogen sulfide. These gases gradually accumulate and have a slow poisoning effect. More rapidly acting substances, presumably hydrocyanic acid and its derivatives, are also observed to be present. It all starts with the melting of the snow in spring, when small animals like rodents and hares come to the Valley of Death in search of food. They simply can't handle the dose of poison, and then larger animals come down from the mountains, feeding on the corpses of dead animals lower on the food chain, and they too become victims of the gases. Over the many years spent studying Death Valley, scientists have found many inhabitants here, but none, even the largest animals, have survived. The Ganges River is considered sacred to the inhabitants of India, who have a belief that its waters can cure all diseases, and a sip of this water purifies the soul. However, nowadays, this is only a myth, as the river has become very dangerous and polluted. It is the source of water for 40% of India's population of about 500 million people, and yet it is one of the most polluted rivers in the world. Its waters contain many toxic substances that increase the risk of cancer. People still come to the sacred river, but they leave behind tons of trash that no one has cleaned up in years. Local residents understand the problem and recognize the need to solve it, but for now, everything is limited to the actions of volunteers. Apart from this, garbage on the bank is not the only and main problem. The Ganges River receives waste from various industries, and although they are trying to regulate this process, it is clearly not enough, and dirty, contaminated water still flows into the sacred river. Add sewage, and it is clear why the Ganges is one of the dirtiest rivers in the world. That's all. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel.